And it's yours. You know, even sometimes in Washington.
We'll call this meeting to order. If you could please rise with me for a silent invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Now is the time for public input. Now is the time to hear from the community. We welcome your comments, which are very important to us. Please step to the podium when recognized and give your name for the record. Address your comments to the council as a whole, not to individuals. Each speaker is limited 5 minutes. You may not donate your time to another speaker. We will not enter into dialogue at this time. The purpose of this agenda item is for you, the public, to inform the council about your views. Have we got any public comment at this time? Okay.
Good evening. I'm Jake Mendez Jr. I'm a civil rights activist, an ACLU Washington member, and an NAACP member as well. Just want to address the City Council a few things regarding some car prowls up on Cobblestone Avenue. Just wanted to be aware that the community and the Othello Police Department are aware of that. As a resident there reached out to me regarding some teenagers and one adult prowling the residential areas, looking into vehicles, as this resident admitted to me that their vehicle and other neighbors' vehicles have been broken into. So I wanted to address that. And secondly, I just want to address the incident at Gowanus Park, the incident of Romero. I just do want to make a public apology regarding the face value information that I received from Romero. And the thing that, from requesting the body cam footage, it showed a whole different perspective of what the outcome of everything, or what he assumed what happened while he was intoxicated. While the community saw that, I just wanted to address that there's a few issues here regarding that incident and how Romero was detained physically. And it just seemed a bit disturbing, but I'm no medical expert, but I just wanted to see to it that when officers are gonna physically detain someone into their vehicle, is to make sure that they're safely detained to the point where a hand is not placed in the back of their neck to the point where it may cause physical injury or permanent damages to their spine and neck. So wanted to address that as well. And the fact that for the well-being of that person, of being very intoxicated at a park and practically pretty much dehydrated. The officers in question did even seem to offer any water, which I thought that was something that, could have been helpful in this situation. But that's all I wanted to address for now. But I just do want to say that it's better to have law enforcement and sheriffs as well, and state patrols to better address how they obtained, how they put people into, detainees of how they're physically being handled. And the fact that this needs to be addressed more as a concern, as a physical health, and for the well-being of the person being detained. And if they're not quite sure on how to physically obtain or detain them, my advice is that just to have any EMS that are professional in that position to better assist the situation in the future. So this way it doesn't lead to any injuries or any lawsuits in the future. And secondly, the third one is especially the shootings that have been going on throughout the county. Just wanted to make aware of that. And I just want to thank the Adams County Sheriffs and the Othello Police Department working hand in hand and dealing with these outside county issues. And, I just wanted to address those few things here to the City Council and the Police Department that are here presently. But just something to be mindful of when anyone's being detained is just to be thoughtful of that. Because you never know if they have been recently in a car accident, any physical injury that they did not ask prior to them being detained. Could have been something traumatic that they have experienced, that they felt that experience wasn't suitable for them or felt as if they were being pressured into physically not being comfortable in being detained. But those are the few things I just want to address to the public and for everyone viewing and to all the law enforcement officers here present. Thank you. That's my time. Appreciate it. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, so we will move on to roll call. All council members are present tonight. So I need a approval of the agenda. Do you have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got a first and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now we'll go on to the consent agenda.
I make the motion to accept the consent agenda for tonight.
Second.
Got a first and second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor for the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carries. We'll go on to current business. The first one is the contract for City Administrator Aaron Garza. This is to follow up with after his appointment that we had, and he took position at the first of the month. We got all the terms of the contract negotiated out and all wrote up, and now it's time for the council to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve for the approval of Aaron Garza's employment contract as city administrator.
I'll second that.
We got a first and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So carries, unanimous. Okay, congratulations, Aaron. You got that. Okay, the next order of business is the appointment of our new police chief. After good discussions with Aaron and looking forward to the police department and the stability that this police department has currently in it right now. Brent's served as the assistant chief for a while and then has been the interim chief. We feel that he's going to do a great job going into the future, and we would like to go ahead and appoint him to that position of police chief of Othello. The first thing I need on that is council approval.
I move to approve the appointment of Brent McFarland as police chief of the city of Othello and to authorize the mayor to execute the employment agreement between the city of Othello and Brent McFarland.
Second.
We've got a first and second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous carry. Congratulations, Brent. Now, the rest of it we'll follow up with. Yes. Well, it's an honor to do this, at least in one mayor's term. But whoever thought we would be doing this in the first year of my term?
Twice.
But it's a great move. We got some great people on the department, and we're looking forward to you to lead those people, and they have the confidence in you to do that. So Chief Brent McFarland grew up in Anacortes, Washington, and attended Eastern Washington University, where he earned a Bachelor's of Arts degree in criminal justice. He began his career in public service with the Washington State Department of Corrections, serving for 7 years before transitioning to the Umatilla Tribal Police Department in 2014. He joined the Othello Police Department. In 2016, Chief McFarland became a department EVOC instructor and field training officer, and was promoted that same year to patrol sergeant. He was recognized as Supervisor of the Year for 5 consecutive years, 2017 through 2021, reflecting his commitment to membership accountability and developing the next generation of officers. From 2018 to 2024, he served as the department's field training officer coordinator. In 2019, he expanded his instructional role by becoming a EVOC instructor at the Washington State Criminal Justice Training Commission Police Academy. In 2021, he was assigned to the position of Detective Sergeant, a role he held for 5 years, overseeing all major crimes and investigations. That same year, he was appointed to the Central Washington Investigative Team, strengthening regional investigative collaboration. In 2023, he was duly sworn with the Special Deputation through the United States Marshal Service and through the Federal Bureau of Investigation, serving as part-time task force officer assigned to child exploitation and human trafficking investigations, which has got great attention to this community, and they did a wonderful job. In 2026, Brent was appointed Assistant Chief of the Othello Police Department and now appointed Chief of Police. Today, Chief McFarland is honored to have his badge pinned on by his wife, Lauren. Yes.
We will administer the oath of office. Chief McFarland, will you please raise your right hand with me and repeat after me? I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington
and the Constitution and the laws of the state of Washington
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Othello,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Othello,
and abide by the law enforcement code of ethics
and abide by the law enforcement code of ethics
as adopted by the Othello Police Department,
as adopted by the Othello Police Department,
that I will faithfully and honestly and impartially
that I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially
perform and discharge the duties of the Chief of Police
perform and discharge the duties of the Chief of Police
during my continuance as such, so help me God.
during my continuance as such, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Yes.
say a few words. And so basically, this is all just going to be about thanks. I'd like to start by thanking my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because without him, none of this would be possible. And I firmly believe throughout my whole career, my successes, my challenges, ups and downs, good and bad, have all been because of him and a part of his plan for me. And so I'm very thankful and proud to be here. I want to thank Mayor Ken Johnson, our council members, and city administrator for putting me here today. My family and friends, I just learned about this last Monday, and so for you that were able to make it, a lot of people weren't able to make it because of busyness and short notice. So thank you guys. So family, friends, and last but not least, my beautiful wife, Lauren, who's here, and she's been very supportive, unwavering love, and stood by me throughout this whole process. Who else? Am I forgetting anybody? I was going to say individual names, but for the sake of time, I won't. Except Lewis. Love you. Lieutenant Lorenz, thanks for being here. Mom, too, yeah. Give me a hug.
Get that one. Whoops.
So Lauren and I were talking, I think it was this weekend, and when we first met, I was in the detective investigator role, and that was literally 4 months ago. And she's like, did you ever think you'd ever be the chief of police at Othello? And I was like, no, I never thought that, especially this fast. But it's just a good reminder for me that no matter how fast things go in life, how challenging things get, how much change there is, how much uncertainty, to always trust the process. And I think our strength in our department has always been our resilience and our ability to adapt to adversity. And we've had a ton of change lately, a total season of change. And with me getting this position, there's even going to be more change on the horizon. But I firmly believe OPD's future's bright, the great city of Othello's future's bright. And I'm just very, very proud to serve with you guys. Thank you. I wouldn't be up here if it wasn't for you guys. I can't lead alone, so thank you. God bless.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, we will go on to the fire annexation update.
Good evening, Council. Hope you're all doing well. I just wanted to give everybody a quick update on the fire annexation process. So currently what we're doing is we've had a couple meetings with the fire district, and right now the fire district is in the process of putting together the pre-annexation agreement. It's going to be going through their legal team, and then they in turn will be proposing it or giving it to us for us to review. And part of this annexation agreement, it's going to cover a few things here. Obviously, number one, it's going to be covering the cost. So our current agreement with the fire district is from, I believe, May of this year all the way till April of next year. And then the upcoming 8 months after that is what we're going to have to contract through that. So the approximate cost for those 8 months, that May to December of 2027, is going to be roughly $732,517. That will be the cost for fire service and what we can anticipate seeing within that contract. Also within that contract, it's going to be covering our facilities, which is basically the fire station. Now, we own the fire station. The district will use the facility. They will maintain the facility. They will carry insurance on the building. And then once they've deemed that they no longer in the future need the building, then the building is going to be returned back to us. It's still our building from there. Another aspect is the addition of 2 new board members. Currently, the Fire Commission has 3, and I believe they serve for 6-year terms, if I'm not mistaken. Desire is for that to increase up to five chairs or board members on the fire commissions. However, that change can't occur until after the annexation process has taken place, after it has been voted on and it's completed. And also, those 2 seats, it won't be, I'm sorry, they're all going to be at-large seats, which means that there's no restrictions on city-county boundaries. It's not as if there's like 2 in the city, 1 in the county, and then there's 1 in the middle to kind of sway one way or the other. All 5 are going to be at-large, and this is all due to state RCW. In fact, it's RCW Chapter 52. So once the annexation process takes place, the board will then have to adopt a resolution and present it to its county authority and request it be placed on the ballot for it then to be voted in for that increase from 3 to 5, which is what we're desiring, and it's going to be taking place. But I just wanted to update the council on that specific portion. Obviously, within those last 8 months and during the annexation process, fire will be responsible for providing fire services for all the city and for our citizens. All this is going to be supported through a tremendous amount of outreach, of education, of messaging to our citizens. And Liz Loomis, Public Affairs Consulting Agency, has been hired and contracted, and her purpose is to do the messaging, do the marketing, to be pushing that information to our citizens, to be educating our citizens on what annexation is, what can they expect, so that our citizens are up to date and aware on what exactly they are going to be voting for come next spring. Part of her timeline is there's already been a letter that has been drafted and put together, a letter from Chief Salisbury that's going to be going to all the residents within the county and within the city that's going to be talking about or starting the conversation, pushing forward what the annexation process is. That letter is expected to drop mid-July. And according to her timeline, the city should pass its resolution of intent to annex in October, with the district in November. That's what her recommendations are. But Liz Loomis's company their whole purpose is to be the messengers, the marketers, to push out the information so that people are made aware on what is going on. And she's going to have a communication strategy that's going to have multiple talking points. Obviously, what is annexation, the benefits of having it, the benefits of not having it, the potential impacts or concerns regarding budget, regarding resources, and the positive impacts of having it, because that's what we want. We want the annexation to be successful upcoming next spring. And what does that look like for our citizens? What are the pros and the benefits? And how do we get that message to them so that annexation is successful upcoming next spring? So that's that portion of it. Also, the city is involved in a grant application for fire equipment. The grant is for $1.375 million, and it has a 25% match. And the purpose of that grant is for equipment, and in this specific case, it's going to be for a new fire truck. Now, the grant is for 1.375. The match is 25%. The fire district is going to cover the match and the remaining part of this fire truck. I didn't know, but fire trucks cost roughly $2 million. They're extremely expensive. So our portion will be covered by the grant, and the district will cover the match and the remainder. So what kind of truck is this? It's going to be a pumper truck. It takes roughly 2 to 3 years for us even to receive it. It takes that long to create it. It's going to have a 100-foot ladder as opposed to our current truck, which only has a 75-foot ladder. It's going to have a 2,000 gallon a minute water rate, which has been described to me as being pretty high end. And it's going to have a rescue bucket for rescues on a 2nd and 3-story type of buildings. So that is also something that is in the works. We're working with Sarah Monomer, our grant writer, to make sure we get all that figured out. But that is a huge, huge project and a huge benefit that we will be able to provide to everybody involved in the annexation, everything. I mean, it's a huge, huge benefit. So overall, the district is currently working on putting this together through their legal. They will then submit it to us for review. I will continue to update the council on this annexation process so we can continue to move forward. And we will continue to have conversations with Liz Loomis on getting the appropriate messaging, the appropriate education out to our citizens. They've already requested questions from us about our financials, our status overall as a city, and we've provided them answers, all in the hopes of forming that communication strategy so we can educate people on annexation. Aside from annexation, this is something else I wanted to talk to everybody about. This is only to start the conversation. No decisions have to be made on what exactly I'm going to be saying now. And this is something that Liz Loomis has proposed. It has happened in her other ventures with other communities in annexation, and it involves the levy rate. So currently, Othello has the levy rate for fire services of 65 cents, and the annexation will be 89.99. Let's just call it 90 cents just because it's easy, okay? So our current rate is 65 cents. The annexation rate is going to be 90 cents. That's a 25% increase. So when it goes to the ballot, it's going to say that right there specifically. Now, the issue is that that's separate than what we currently receive through our current levy rate of 65 cents. So we have this new 90, but we still have the option, and I call it an option because that's exactly what it is. We have the option to hold back or retain all of that 65 cents, a portion of that 65 cents, or none of the 65 cents. It's just an option. I asked her, how does this work? She says, it's a all or nothing thing. It would be the annexation plus the city decides to retain or hold some of that portion back. Now, if you think about it, it's simply even more of an increase. It would be the initial increase from the 65 to the 90, plus if we decide to retain, depending on how much we retain, let's just say 25 cents, so it'd be to 25 cents plus retaining 25 cents, so altogether it would be 50 cents would be the total increase. It's simply an option. I wanted to bring it up as a point of starting the conversation. No decision has to be made. Spencer has put together a very good tool to help us look at what exactly this means. Because at the end of the day, people just want to know, what is it going to do to me? How much money is Aaron going to have to pay more? How much money are you going to have to pay more? How much money would our citizens, in turn, have to pay a little bit more? Also, one thing, too, is this retention or hold back, this would be part of the messaging of the whole annexation. The city is planning to this annexation with exercising the option of holding back this specific amount. Now, when we do that, it's obviously best that we do it with specific intent or intention. We can't just say, we're going to hold this back, we're going to hold back 25 cents for city projects, okay? That doesn't work. It would be, we're going to hold back a certain amount if we choose to, specifically for this money will go to the pool. This money will go to a new officer. This money will go to this new playground equipment. It needs to be specific. It should be transparent so that our taxpayers and our citizens know exactly where their money is going to, and it's not just some general holdback. Okay, I hope that I made myself clear on that. So Spencer, please, if you can just walk us through a little bit on what that would look like.
Yeah, so for us to decide if we're going to hold something back, everything back, nothing back, somewhere in between back, we ultimately need to make this decision so we can get that message to Liz Loomis so that she can use that message in her messaging out to the members of to the citizens. In order for us to make that kind of decision, though, we need to start somewhere. Making one decision affects 5 other things, and there are a lot of balls in the air, and we need to be able to make some informed decisions. What are the effects? What are the effects on the city? What are the effects on the citizens? What are the effects on the programs, pool, whatever else? So to do that, we put this tool together that I want to have kind of a brief overview, and then I can talk about some specific pieces. And then I've made it such that we can kind of play around with it a little bit. And we'll get there here in just a couple of minutes. First of all, just general lay of the land. I want to talk through each one of these boxes and just say, this is what this box is showing, and this is why I've got it up here. To start off with, our valuation, and I'm using our 2026 for these numbers. So our valuation is here, the 1.3 billion. The city property tax, the property tax revenue that the city collects is right here in this square here. So city property tax collections, 26. Here's our levy rate. We collect $226 per $1,000 of evaluation, which means based on that valuation, we collect about $3 million in property tax revenue for the year, or that's this year. If we are annexing with the fire district, we would be giving up 65 cents of our levy here, which would give us a new levy rate over here, 161 per $1,000 of valuation. Instead of collecting 3 million, we'd be collecting about 2.1. The difference there is the $870,000, which is our fire contract based on the 65 cents, the 65 cent rate right there. So right now, that extra $870,000 is just an extra burden on the general fund. And so we'll talk about that here in a little bit. This next box down here, we have our current bill, which is our total valuation based on 90 cents, not 65 cents, but 90 cents. And this is just a plug figure right here, the 1.2 million. Our current fire bill is about $1.2 million. That's made up of our current ability, which is this number. The reason these two numbers aren't the same is because I just used a plug figure here. But they're pretty darn close to illustrate here. So this $1.2 million that we currently pay is made up of two parts, our current ability in the general fund, and then moving forward, the plan is to have the delta of that $330,000 would be made up of us increasing the property tax rate by that 25 cents so that we're matching the fire district, what their residents are paying. Moving, that's a change from 65 cents to the 90 cents, the 0.9 there. That'd be 25 cents, and so that'd be the remainder there. So that would be to hold us even, just an even playing field. We do have an option now, as Aaron started talking about, that Liz was starting to walk through us with, or walk us through the story. We have a chance to hold some of this money back. So in essence, if we, instead of just having a 25-cent increase, we can have 25, I think in your example, you gave another 25-cent increase. That would be an additional tax of 50 cents. That would allow us to collect the remaining delta to make good on our fire contract, and it would also provide some other dollars that could go towards other projects. And so we'll get back to this, but this number right here that I'm highlighting right now is the main number that I want to be able to play with just a little bit here. But this money could be used for something like the pool. And we have some rough numbers up here. Again, these are estimates that we got last year, and this is what we have right now. As we're moving forward, our numbers will be getting a lot better. We kind of went back and forth. Well, do we share this with the council now because some of the numbers are at the estimate level,
Or do we wait a month until we have better numbers and then share it with the council? And we thought, let's share it with the council now, so at least you have a lay of the land. And then later on, as we're getting better numbers, there's already this framework that we can have this conversation within. So for us to restart our pool, reopen our pool, we were given some estimates in between $2 and $2.5 million for us to get that kind of loan, and then over 20 years we'd have a repayment that we'd need to make, let's say 2.5 million over 20 years, about 5%. We would have to come up with or that would cost us $200,000 a year to make this payment on the project of this size. Very close. So over here, we want to kind of play with this, and what kind of increase. 15 on top of the 25 would come up with a $200,000 right here. That would be a total tax increase of 40 cents. How does this affect a homeowner? So down here we have 40 cents. I have a few different options here for home values. One is for every $100,000 worth of home value, the 40 cents would be, per thousand would be $40 per year, or $3.33 per month, on top of the current property tax bill. So the average home, let's say if it's $400,000, that would be an extra $160. If we're looking at a home of $400,000, this would be about an extra $160 per year. On a $300,000 home, it would be about $120 per year. And so when we're thinking about, if we're going to hold some of this money back, what do we want it for? 15 cents, that would be really close to this. That would get the pool up and going. If we want something for pool and to help funding another officer, or just throwing something out there, an additional 25 cents here would give us 334. So that'd be 200 for the pool and another $135,000 to go towards an officer. So with this, our goal tonight is really just to introduce the topic to you. We want to give you a chance now. We can start throwing out some different things. If you have a question about how the worksheet works, or if there's a hole, we can start talking about that. So that's our worksheet here. And again, the goal is to involve you as the city council as early as we can, so we're not waiting another month down the road. But here we can start making some informed decisions, and that's what we want to do.
I have a couple of questions. You can go ahead first.
Okay, thank you. So this holdback, is this on top of the 90 cents? Or, so this is on top of the 90 cents we're already asking the public for?
So we're asking for 25 because the 65 is essentially already there. So we would be increasing by 25 cents.
The reason we did it too is that if we go for the 90 cents, we haven't done nothing with the pool yet. We're going to go after some more taxes here in a year or two for the pool. So as we talk, we say, why not put some money in there to have already? And I know it's kind of tough. Anytime you add taxes to it, because we went back and forth quite a bit, right? You got 25 on top of the 65 already. That's 90. So how much do you put in there to, for extra for a pool or for extra for an officer, right? So we started at 25, we went up to 50, and we didn't know where to land. Taxes went up here in Othello quite a bit. So what do? Are we going to tax the heck out of the people? You're talking another, on top of the 90, if it's 40, it's $1.30, right? We're not going to go after $1.30 because there's 65 already, right? But what we're talking about is, we do need the pool. We didn't pass last year. We got to get something done. Let's put some money aside.
And
So what we need to brainstorm right here is what is the right amount, so we don't go after and not get it, you know what I mean? That's the tender spot right there.
And I completely understand what you're saying, but we're also asking, I mean, really, and I think the hardest thing that I've heard most citizens complain about is, why do I have to pay for the pool the second time if I'm still already paying for it? And that is the biggest complaint that I've heard, and I don't know if this is gonna go over well.
So we're not still paying for the pool
Yeah,
anymore.
it's paid
All
off.
paid off already?
Yes.
this
If we
year?
had passed the bond that just went last year, it
Actually,
would have
this-
just replaced it.
This one?
Yeah,
Okay.
so they're not going to be paying that anymore, so that is going to be gone.
The city was paying $10,000 a year for that, and that ended maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Right, but
just
the
a few
public
years
was
ago.
still paying their initial bond on it,
Yeah.
right? Up until,
So that came from, not from city residents, not that portion. That came from county.
County
Because it was the
residents, the
larger
Park and
park district
Recreation
that was
District.
involved in that.
Yeah, Parks District.
So I said the same thing when we were talking about raising it above 90 cents. I said, hey, we're getting taxed already. What are we doing here? Right? But we do need a pool. So it's kind of tough to go after 90 cents, let's say 25 cents this year, and then, try to go after more money next year, right? Because it's like you're increasing it every year. So where do we have to be? We're talking 25 cents will get us an officer, get us a $200,000 payment a year. I mean, that's for us to decide, where do we want to go? We do need the pool, we need to get going. We have a number 2.5, I don't know how firm that number is, but I don't know who's been working on it. I don't think it's right throwing numbers out, because our last one is almost 4 million. We're doing almost the same amount of work for 2.5. So we want to make sure them numbers are coming in right. We don't want a surprise at the end.
Of course, yeah.
Yep.
It sounds like this has already been discussed in committee. What committee was this discussed in?
Fire.
So it was only discussed in fire?
Yeah, we started with the fire.
I'm trying
committee
to understand how this sits within the fire committee.
because it's part of the annexation.
It's part of the
Just because
annexation.
it's part of the
There will be-
annexation, but even still, I mean, this
Project, yeah.
discussion I understand where that is coming from, but on the other side of it, if we're starting to talk about pools and stuff like that, now I'm hearing $2.5 million when the bare bottoms below was 3.5. I'm not understanding where this is going and how. So I'm a little confused at process and protocol.
We have to start the conversation somewhere.
Yeah.
And the numbers aren't hard, firm numbers, but starts the conversation and moving the ball along so that we can show the public, hey, we are interested and we're working on trying to find a solution to get you the pool. The last time we did this, we weren't successful. We regrouped, and this is the product I think that will work best for you. And it's gonna hurt everyone evenly. And that's what, go ahead.
As far as flow of where this conversation is being had, we had an annexation committee meeting last week, Wednesday or Thursday last week. And at that meeting, it was just kind of a natural flow because there were parts of this that directly impact the annexation. Then after that meeting, we thought, really, let's open up. We weren't even thinking this at the meeting, at that committee meeting, but after that meeting, the next day, Aaron and I were talking and the mayor, and we were thinking, let's just go straight to the full council with this discussion where we're starting. It is early, but why wait? Why wait? We could have had another committee meeting later this week to discuss it with the Parks Committee if you wanted, but let's bring it in with everyone. Or that was our thought, just thought process there.
This is some very creative accounting, and I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. It appears we're trying to backdoor payment for the pool. I don't know how the pool got muddled in with annexing for a fire department. But the city voted to support the pool and voted no. And I want a pool more than anybody. I was a lifeguard in a former life. But unless somebody takes initiative and establishes a park district and gets the county people to help pay for this pool, I don't think the city should bear the full cost of resurrecting the pool. It was paid for through the park district by the county in the beginning, and that's the way it should go now. So I see where you're going, and I like trying to bring the pool back with Chris. It was 3.5, now it's 2.5, and I don't know how it got mucked in with the fire department. So this is, if you can sell it to the public, great, but there might be some pushback.
So when we did a bond last year, the majority of people actually wanted it. It just didn't have 2/3, right?
It didn't have the super
Didn't
majority.
have
It was
the
supposed to have a
2/3 that it
60%,
needed,
but it did
right.
have
So it didn't have
over the
quite
50.
enough, but it did have over 50. It just didn't quite make it to 60. Now, the public would still have to say yes or no on whatever holdback that we're trying to do as well, right? We're not saying we're going to do this and the public doesn't have a say. This would go to the public and they get a chance to say yes or no.
Yes.
I'm completely comfortable with a lower amount that is specifically earmarked for one thing. I'm less comfortable with a bigger amount that's like, well, we'll use part for this and part for that, and then it kind of gets piecemealed out. And I think that is not clear for the public. I do have another question, and it goes all the way back to the very beginning of your presentation, talking about the election for the fire annexation and the 5 people on the council. And my question is, can they not be on the same election because the district doesn't want them to be, because they don't want to go to 5 if we don't annex? Or is there some reason that they can't be on the same election? Then the reason I'm asking is because elections cost money. So then we're paying for 2 different elections to do an annexation and then again, and who pays for that second one?
Sure, that's a good question. So if I understand correctly, you're wanting to know if the portion on increasing from 3 to 5 can be placed on the same one.
Because the initial conversations was what was being talked about.
And what I've come to understand is first the annexation has to actually occur first. It's got to be voted in and finished first, and then from there, the 3 board members would have to. Let me get my notes here. Members would then have to adopt a resolution and present it to their county authority, which would then have to go to vote after that. And that was based off RCW. Now, if you're saying, can we have them both on the ballot? And so if the annexation says yes, and this one says yes, it's yes on both too. Well, I don't know. That's a question I could explore. If the annexation says no and the addition of 2 says yes, and that's kind of weird because the annexation is the key here first. I would have to look into that to make sure I give you a good answer. Well, the only answer I do know is that the annexation has to occur first before that increase in 2 more board members can occur.
So, I mean, I guess my question then would be, could the fire district, could they not just go to 5? They could go to 5 now. They could do their resolution and go to 5 now if they wanted to, right? It's within their purview to do. And I know they have difficulties just being 3 of them with a quorum and whatever.
So if they did it now, the 2 other people, since we are not annexed in with the district already, would have to come from their county, from their outside district.
Right, but I mean, I guess what I'm saying is that there's not a specific timeline with when they would have to do that. So having it on the same ballot, it's just that if the annexation didn't pass, yes, you're right, they would end up with 5. So if they want to do it first and then go to 5, I just want to make sure that the people of Othello are not going to have to end up paying for that second election because they want to wait and not do that.
When they do that, they will be totally annexed and it will be the fire district. So any cost at that point will be responsibility of the fire district itself.
I mean, because this is part of what the city's asking for, right?
Yes.
with the whole annexation agreement. I just want to make sure that the people of Othello are not on the hook for a second election if they're wanting to do one and then the
Yeah,
other.
no, they would be
I understand.
totally responsible.
Elections aren't free, unfortunately.
I had actually some of the same concerns Councilwoman Camp brought up about the elections and how that would come together, but that's been answered. I guess I'm more concerned. The holdback is not a separate election, correct? This would be part of the annexation.
Yes.
So
There wouldn't be an option
we're
to
going to
vote
be
against
we're going to be
it.
tagging on a separate project on top of the annexation.
With,
The fire department annexation.
Yeah, I mean, I can
It
understand how this would have dramatic impacts
It could,
on the
yes.
annexation.
We said
That's a good point. That's something that I had brought up before. I've asked, like, what's the success rate? How does this normally go? Does it put anything at risk or at jeopardy? And the answer I got back from that was that it has been successful multiple times. Obviously, it's not a guarantee. However, the key to all this is really the transparency and the messaging forward and explaining exactly what we want to do with this and making it clear to the public. Like I said, it's not just city projects. It's specifically, intentionally, this is exactly what it's going for. This is the benefits it's going to provide. There isn't any backdoor dealings. It's not a secret. It's exactly for this. And when you have that type of messaging to the community, then that builds that transparency and trust. Okay, I know exactly what I'm getting at if I have to do this. It's not just, they're just asking for some just because. It's the annexation, and I know that I'm going to have this as what I'm giving up. So that was a question I had too. So the question is, where's the balance? Where is too much? Where is, like, you know what, we just can't do that? Where's the citizens, you know what, we just can't do that? So where does that lie, if any? This is only an option. And that was the purpose of this. Now, we've talked a little bit about the pool. It doesn't have to be that. That's just where the conversation went to. The main purpose is to bring it up as the option of the holdback specifically. As far as projects, that would be something as a collective we would have to agree upon and say, okay, yeah, we're going to hold something back for this, whatever that might be. Or we're going to hold back none of it. I don't know. So I know the pool has come up. That's just where the conversation went. It wasn't intentionally supposed to go that way. That was just one of the things that came up in the conversation, which honestly, just me, I think is a good purpose for it. But that's me. You guys are the council.
So this needs a 50% or 51% vote. If you go just the pool,
50 plus
you have to-
1.
For annexation.
Plus 1.
God dang it. This is
If you
loud,
do,
sorry.
if you go just for the pool, you have to have the supermajority.
Yes.
I could also see, just playing devil's advocate to what you're saying, that this could potentially jeopardize the annexation.
Torpedo
It
the
also could
annexation.
potentially help it. Because there are people that are like, oh my gosh, this is how many years now we've been without a pool. That they are driving to Connell with their kids at 8 o'clock every morning for the swim team, and that just started again. And it could potentially, actually, for us to be able to, look, we're doing this. This gives us fire department stability for the indeterminate future, forever. Plus, it is also going to get our pool back open.
I love the idea, don't get me wrong. But I think timeline-wise, we are in too deep to risk the public voting against the annexation. We don't have another option, timeline-wise. So for me, I feel like a holdback for an additional project, yeah, I would love to have the pool back, but when you're weighing what you get with the pool and what you get public safety-wise with the annexation, they're really not comparable to risk potentially not getting the annexation passed. So for me, I feel like just to have that extra holdback for a future project is not worth it.
But if it's 51%, wouldn't that be easier? If that's mixed in there?
Yeah, but you got two items on top of each
Yeah,
other.
one other thing that another thing is, when we talked about this, if we were to mix them together, You know, I mentioned that we really have to go out to the public and sell this. We can't just, like what you and I did in the park, right? If we have to make some kind of an event, you know what I mean, to kind of bring people together and educate them on what we're doing, we need to do that. It's really got to happen. Because that word of mouth, you know, from one mouth to another, it gets bent out of shape. So I think this is a good deal. I think, Mark, thank you for bringing that up. That's awesome. 51%, I think we have a great chance of it passing. If we don't go too crazy, and I mean, if we stick to the 25 cents, which would get us a couple $100,000 for the pool and for the officer, I think it's a good takeoff. That's my opinion. Because when we sat down, I said the same thing. I said, what are we doing mixing the pool into this, to myself? But as we started talking about it, I kind of liked it. I said, that's a good idea. And then we mentioned 51% is a better chance of it passing, and we educate the people. I think it's a good thing. I think it'll work.
Who's the group that is going to be promoting this and putting up the strategy again?
Liz Loomis, Public Affairs
And
Consultant.
that is being paid for by,
County.
Fire
the county's
department.
paying for that completely?
Yes.
For our own mailers, but they're paying the rest of it.
Okay.
Discussions with Liz and past ones that she has worked with, she strongly recommended that you do this way because you're selling two things at one time. And she said, be very clear. Like Aaron said, be very clear on what you're putting it towards. And if you can, even add public safety in there too, because that sells. So
I find it interesting that we're calling it a holdback, where to me, this is the very definition of additional taxes.
Well, it's a holdback we're putting in the pot for a future pool or officer. I mean, it's a holdback because you're not going to spend it. It's just like putting it aside.
Yeah, so they call it a holdback because essentially, I display it like this just for ease of our conversation today. But really what will happen is a portion of this 65 is what we would hold back. And then we'd give up, so we'd hold back 25 cents of the 65. And then the remainder of that, plus this, would be going to the fire district. It's just kind of a backwards way of, you're right, it does sound weird, but that's where that comes from.
I guess my big my big concern is to go into annexation, it's going to cost more. So that's the first hurdle to jump, is that. And then to throw an additional cost on top of that, I'm hoping isn't a bridge too far for our community. And that's my only concern. I love the idea of it, other than I need some more fleshing out of the details, because I'm not sure how we got from 3.5 to 2.5. So that I need a little bit more explanation on.
Because that was just for repairing it.
there was.
So now we're just going to repair it and not
That was just,
rebuild.
we're not there yet. I mean, I know you want more details, but
That's
we're nowhere
fair.
near there yet.
But what we take to the public, I definitely don't want to take to the public that, hey, we're going to raise your taxes, because that's what we're talking about. And you're going to get safety and this extra item. But oh, by the way, we need another $2 million. That's going to go over like even worse than, oh God, that's giving me heartburn just thinking about it right now. So I mean, yeah, we got a lot to flesh out if we do it. And I understand you guys are getting our feedback, and this is brand new, not much warning. I was already concerned about tax increases for the annexation. Adding something on top of it, if the experts think this is a good path and they think that they can pass it, okay, but
Maybe
we're asking a lot.
maybe we could get her to come and talk to council.
That probably wouldn't be a bad idea.
I can arrange
At
that.
some point, yes, that would.
A consultant?
Liz,
On that 2.5 now, So it was just something that went through, passed through my ears. It said that on the 3.5 one, that there was a lot of snuff built in there. That it wasn't necessary. That's
There
why it
was,
says,
yeah.
how can you go from 3.5, because I did mention, if you're gonna do 3.5, are we gonna do all the
3.5
plumbing?
was the bare
Are we gonna-
bones minimum.
Are we gonna do all the plumbing? Because if we're not gonna do the plumbing, don't touch the darn thing.
Yeah.
Leave it like that. Because if you don't touch the plumbing, that breaks in a month, you're back in the same boat. So I said, are you guys gonna do the plumbing? They said, yeah, the plumbing's included. If the plumbing's included, you got a liner and everything, that's all you want in a pool. You're good to go, right? So I don't know how you got to 2.5, but if we can get it to that number, it'd be great.
Yeah.
Going up to the 3.5, was that not like refurbishing the slide and refurbishing the
No.
pumps and that stuff?
Bare bones.
Bare bones, just the
That was the
plumbing,
bottom,
no
that was the
motors, just all
bottom
motors are
dollar.
above. All the
A
pumps and
study to
motors
get to
stay.
that number? Didn't we pay money for a study to get to that number?
We had 4 options. We never ever really explored that. It just, a decision was
There
made
was a
for one.
study to get to 3.5.
Yes.
That's
We need to
We
have
had-
the numbers brought
You
back.
we had a
Numbers
firm
we've given to
that did
Mackenzie,
all of
who
the
was
work,
No, I'm
all
just
of
saying back to
the
council, because
architecture
there was something
on the options. So that was the bottom option.
what I thought, so I don't know.
I mean, a liner is 1.5 million.
No, the liner, actually, we have had a discussion with the liner company, and it's just a little over $500,000. They said they'd give it to us at cost.
That was
And
500,000?
it was just a little over 500, and I can't remember the exact dollar she quoted, but yeah, they were here and they said they would give it to us at cost. We would just have to have the contractor to install it.
Well, what
there's
I
your
said in
million.
that meeting, I said, you know what, if you guys have been at it, because I thought it was dead. I thought nobody had talked about the pool. You and I talked about it.
Yeah, you and I talked about it.
But if you guys have been doing some legwork, share the information, go for the gusto. I mean, if we can get that for 2.5, that's $1 million cheaper than what we're gonna do it for. And then if we get the numbers, and that's a done deal, turnkey, to refurbish that pool, then we'll talk about going, after that 15, 25 cents. Because I'd hate, like I said last time, I'd hate to start moving on this number and then you guys come back and tell us, well, we're sorry, man, it's like
It's supposed to be, it's gonna be
3.8
more.
because it's a year later, you know what I mean?
Right.
It just kills everything.
So this consultant who's working with annexation, she says it's common that when they annex a fire department, they tack on other items to that annexation with increased taxes?
I think it's because of their lift.
Her experience in the past doing that and adding on to it has been very successful in the past.
I think it all goes to the percentages of the vote. I know the tax is gonna be higher, but that percentage of the vote means a lot.
So this is what I can do. We can continue to get firm numbers on the pool specifically, because that's something we've been talking about. We can get firm numbers on that, at least as firm as we possibly can. I can also get a hold of Liz and see if she's available to attend the next council meeting, and that way she can be here, and you guys can pose any sort of questions that you guys might have. Once again, this was only to start the conversation. There's been excellent conversation that's gone on. We've been on this for 20 minutes now. We can continue talking about it, or we can continue on with the agenda. It's up to you all.
Councilwoman Camp, RCW 52.14.015, elections for officers.
That is correct.
I would say that, and I've said it before, that when they went out for this levy lift, the county, Adams County District 5, they said if the city would have stayed with us, we could have stayed at 0.65. And now they're saying the new standard is 0.9 per thousand. So to me, that was a hard sell, just to go from the 0.65 to the 0.9. And now we're adding on to that, we're piling on, so.
We were at 6.5 and we were trying to negotiate with them and they would not negotiate with us. It was going to be 80.
Right, but I think what he's trying to say is we're telling the citizens they're going from 60.65 to $1.35. That's a big jump.
Yeah,
We're
but
going
you know
from
what?
$1.15.
to $1.15.
Folks, if I could, we can't go back in time and go what was done.
Not,
We
no,
just
we're
gotta
not
go
going
forward
back in
with
time,
what's
but what
going on
he's
for
saying
now.
is, that's where we're at right now. That's what the public is at right now.
That's where we're at.
It's 0.65 right now, today.
No.
No.
Well,
nine.
when the contract was,
If we were to renew the contract with them, we'd be
It's
back
gonna
at
be 90.
2.2,
Right.
1.2 or better.
Yeah.
If
But
we-
that's,
without the.
that's gone now.
Right?
I guess one last point is, as much as I want to pool, the safety to the public is the most important thing. And I would be concerned if we jeopardize safety of the public by passing the annexation to pass a pool. That concerns me. And if I can be assured that we can safely pass both and that it's a real reasonable path, I can support that. But I don't want to sacrifice public safety for all because we want to add a pool too. I think there's other pathways.
This has been a really good conversation tonight. A lot of good concerns, a lot of, just all around the board. I think Aaron and I have some good marching orders. We're going to continue to bring you more information, and we will be educated before we make a final decision. Or that's the goal, really.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now, Ann, introduction to zoning changes. Lots of them.
Thank you. So we have a few new state laws that we need to address, and they're all related to zoning, so I'm packaging them up together. So this is just an introduction, so that you're aware of what's coming, you can ask any questions, provide some preliminary input. So the three things are, the state is now requiring that existing buildings, if someone wants to convert an existing building into housing, pretty much we have to allow that. The second thing is that childcare must be allowed in commercial and residential zones. We already meet the requirements for industrial, but we do have to make a few changes for the residential and commercial. And then the third one is that the state passed a law that would allow people to have family burial grounds unless the city prohibits it. And the feedback I was getting is that the city would be interested in prohibiting that. So that's the third aspect. I gave you in the agenda memo kind of a lot of the details, but I think rather than go through all of those, I'm going to assume that you read them and just ask me any questions, unless you would really like me to go through them line by line. I can do that. Questions about any of these issues?
So the one for, a couple of those, we have no choice.
No.
But you said the one for burial grounds, we do have
If we
a
do
choice.
nothing, then it's allowed.
Then it's allowed.
We do have the choice where we can prohibit that.
And this one you've taken to Planning Commission or taken to the Planning Commission?
So Planning Commission's been working on it. They will be holding a public hearing next week on it to take any input and then make their recommendation to you. The draft that I provided is the draft based on the last Planning Commission, the input at the last Planning Commission meeting.
Any further questions for Ann?
I think Angel's excited because he's got some family he wants to bury out in the backyard.
Well, we're gonna prohibit it, and it'll be great.
Hey, we live to be over 100, man. The ground will be available.
Yeah, I might have
for
two
a
or three myself.
I do have a question on details of changes. Number 2, a city must not require any new parking for the additional dwelling units with an existing building.
That is correct.
So is that just encourages street parking?
Yes.
there's nothing we can do about it either.
Yeah,
That
that's a
was
state
heavily
preemption.
debated, let me tell you.
About that.
We discussed it during Planning Commission. There's Nothing we can do about it.
Wow.
I would also add that the planning commission looked at that in nauseam to try to find a way to,
Around
and we
it.
just could not.
Congestion.
Yeah, makes it tough.
I read a magazine, I hope it was a misprint, but it was a city in Idaho, and they were putting in a 109-unit apartment building, and it said they didn't have to have any requirement for off-street parking. But they were putting in a bike storage area.
Oh, perfect.
So, so if you add a unit to your house, what ADUs or something they call them, you don't have to accommodate any.
If it's within the existing building,
Yeah, we already have.
convert space. But if you're building a new building, then parking is required,
Right.
Code.
just within existing buildings.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, comments, Fran? Okay. Now we'll go on to the budget amendment. Spencer?
Yes, so this next item is a budget amendment, number 1, for this year, for your consideration. The items on this budget amendment are, there's nothing new on this budget amendment, and maybe I should back up a little bit and talk about why we do budget amendments. When we passed the 26 budget at the end of last year, there were some assumptions that we made, some guesstimates with numbers, how far we thought we might be on projects, and then you just bring over the remainder, and maybe you didn't get as far as you thought you would on a project. And so that situation represents 4 of these 5 projects here on this amendment. The idea with each one of the items on this amendment is that there's no end dollar. Each of these amendments are bringing projects forward from last year to this year, and there's a net zero effect on our ending fund balances for the various funds that these affect, with the exception of the donation fund. We got extra monies, more than expected, and so this is just building those extra dollars into our budget so we can spend them. But if you want, I can kind of go through and briefly touch on these. Again, most of these are moving the dollars from the 25 year into the 26 budget year so that we can spend the dollars this year. That's the animal control building with the swimming pool consultant that last year we had 150,000 and we spent all but 66. And so we're hoping to use the remainder of that to continue our pool discussion. The third item on there, donations, we want to increase that by 9,500. Those are due to more donations for, these were for Little League that we got, and we just want to be able to use that money for Little League. Or I mean, we can only use that money for Little League, but this puts those dollars into our budget that frees it up this year. The fourth item, shelters at Lions, that's moving that money forward from last year. And the last one is the Well 7 rehab. It's just moving that 500,000 from last year's budget into this year's budget, which again doesn't affect our year-end ending fund balance because it wasn't spent. With that, I can take any questions you have, or we can move forward to adopt this ordinance.
I'm going to adopt. Oh, you have a question?
First of all, I would never say nothing on this list is new to council because you might surprise you what's new to me.
I apologize.
I just wouldn't use that. The swimming pool consultant, in light of what I heard tonight, I don't know, but I was going to say stop. We can consult that thing to death, and we still have a pool that doesn't work. So that was, we've spent 83,000 in an Othello aquatic feasibility study. I asked for a copy of that and have yet to receive anything. So I recommend we put the brakes on that thing, and the 66,000 left over, I would recommend using $21,000 of that to light our tennis courts. The shelter, I'm not sure why we spent $4,000 already. I've seen nothing in the way of a shelter going up in Lions Park. So I hope that's not money not well spent. I guess that's all I had on that, and I have no idea of the animal control building. I admit I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I don't know what we got going for animal control building. But that's what I have to say about this.
I think we stopped spending money for the consultant for the pool, right? You guys are working with the, you guys are working, or?
Their current, I mean, the one that did the feasibility study last year, their contract ran out the first of the year. So
You guys are getting bids just from that?
we're not getting bids. We're just kind of trying to get a ballpark figure of what it would take in the future for that pool.
You want a concrete, I know you guys are working on that.
So,
concrete
you
number.
know, yeah, and actually, if you want, we could just, well, those dollars are in the current year. I can bring those forward into the current budget, and I would bring it into the beginning fund balance, so the dollars are represented in our general fund this year, but not put them in that expense line item. So we're not going to be spending those dollars unless we bring something before council with more of a concrete plan. Because you're right now we really don't have a concrete plan. We were just bringing that forward for those.
And like you said, you bring it to council, if you need a consultant to bring us a firm number, bring it to council, we pass it.
We might need an architect. I mean, if you're going to be rebuilding, you know, I mean, I went through the whole, Mark, I'm going to try to I have some of that data, so I will forward that to you on what was done and how. And that's why I'm kind of scratching my head at the moment. I'm a little confused, but.
Well, I hope you have $83,000 worth of data.
I believe I do.
Okay.
Because remember, you had to figure out if we had a 300-foot sinkhole underneath that pool that was going to kill everyone.
A lot of surveys.
So that was kind of a concern. I think that public safety concern probably drove a lot of trying to find out what we had.
So if you want to move forward with this ordinance in that fashion, we can totally do that. We can just amend the ordinance, move to adopt the ordinance with the one change of just bringing forward the $66,000 forward to the beginning of the general fund balance, so we have it this year, and then, but not including it as an expense line to be spent.
Until you get things, okay.
We could totally, yeah, easy.
So I move to adopt the ordinance amending the 2026 budget with that change.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No, I'm not opposed, sorry.
Okay,
I was just
it's
tardy.
a unanimous decision.
I was just tardy, sorry.
It's like a Zoom delay.
Correct.
Next thing on the agenda is Public Works, collective bargaining agreement, foreman position. Robin.
So we, years ago, created lead positions, but when I am not there as the Public Works Director, in the past, it used to be before there were leads, the Public Works Director would designate who was in charge while that person's gone. Because I have 6 leads, it makes it a little tougher. And according to the union, it's also a little tougher not having any procedure for that. So this creates a position that is a foreman over the leads. It does not give them supervisory hiring, firing abilities. It is just running the day-to-day of the crew and being the position of authority when I'm absent. So that's what this is creating. It is a union position so that that person can still do union work. So it's not a true public works assistant, but that is kind of what they're acting as.
I gave a memo out, and so we had talked about it. I talked with the city admin and the union rep, and this is the way that we went. There's an MOU and the addendum that has the job description. So if you have any questions, I can answer those. Otherwise, we recommend the approval of the new Public Works foreman position.
So what does this change with your lead roles if you hired a foreman? Do your lead roles stay as is?
Yes, because our leads are job specific. So the sewer department lead runs the sewer department, reports to the state, does all of that. So this person doesn't necessarily have all of the same certifications. I only have 2 guys right now that have a sewer certification. So they aren't required to have that same certification to run the sewer, just like I don't have that certification. It just gives them the ability to help coordinate crew. I've separated crew a little differently than when it started here. I needed another person out in the sewer department, which took them away from the parks department. But now the parks department sometimes needs help from other departments. And so the coordination, and I have a lot going on contract-wise and administrative-wise that running those simple day-to-day things takes a lot of time. And there's just one of me.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is this creating a new job, or are you going to be, one of your people that you already have is going to be in that position?
This has to come from
creating a whole new.
Nope, we have to open this within our union to hire from within. That's the way.
Expanding your department by one. We're just naming somebody something different. Okay.
So it says this is new, but we just haven't had one for about 2 or 3 decades. We've had them in the past. Doug Jordan was designated a foreman of the crew when he was, in Public Works.
Okay.
And he had that position. It's pretty similar to what is all written here, and it works exactly as Robin stated. Is there are times that you need a person on site to provide oversight, and it also frees up the director to be. It's a force multiplier, but you already are using somebody within your crew with expertise who's well respected, who Robin's comfortable with, or the director, whoever may be in the future. Just we haven't done one in about 20 years that I can remember, but Doug Jordan served that purpose.
Was there a reason they didn't use it anymore after him?
Was he what?
Was
He
there a
was
reason
he
they
was still
stopped
part of
using
the
the
union.
foreman position after him?
It was a union position.
Right. But you said there was one and now there isn't one, so was there a
I
reason
don't
that
think
got
they've
rid of
ever,
that?
I think that was to the will of the
I think with the
director.
changes
That's
of
the way-
administrations and mayors
Yeah,
and
the will of
public
director.
works
Yep.
directors down there, I think it just kind of got lost in the.
Filtered out.
What's the estimated financial impact?
7%.
7%.
Percent of that.
It's
What?
7%, depending on what salary. Let's
Yeah.
say if it's $75,000 salary, then it'd be 5,000,
7% of entry level.
5 to 6,000
of
then?
what he's
five
getting.
and a half
for now.
in there somewhere, yeah.
He's getting 100 grand to get 7,000 more.
Right, on 100 grand, it's 7,000, yeah, so then just scale that down a bit.
We have a maintenance man making 100 grand?
So not for their base, not for their base salaries.
But this is 7% above the lead position pay, not above their base.
Okay.
We don't need a motion on this, do we? This goes.
Yes.
This is an
Yes.
internal.
No.
You do need a motion
The
for this?
motion.
Need a motion.
Because it is a major change to the collective bargaining agreement.
Okay. Let's see where that was.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the addition of a new position, Public Works Foreman, with the rate of pay of 7% above lead position pay.
I'll second that motion.
We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Okay, it's 6 to 1. Motion
Tell
passes.
me.
I mean, 7% for a title change.
Okay. The last one there is adopt a resolution 2026-5 to approve submission of the FEMA brick grant application. Sarah was originally going to introduce this tonight, but we're going to take a stab at it. Staff is going to take a stab at it tonight.
So Sarah asked that I present this for her. We prepared this grant last year, and it's a very long process. It has to go to the state first, and then the state presents it federally. So it has to be approved through the state. They get a bunch of these requests, and then once they say they pick their top 5, they pass it on to the federal. We went through that cycle, and then FEMA funds were pulled. So then it was withdrawn. Those funds have now been reinstated, so we're back out for that. The state contacted us because they really like this ASR project and they want us to go forward with this. So there are some requirements that we have to have in order to do this. So that's what these requests are for. Originally, our request was close to $40 million for this grant. And now we're looking at between 15 and 20 million. We changed the way that we are doing the ASR, the water treatment portion of that. Originally, we were looking at membrane filtration, which was intensive, and our O&M costs were going to be higher. And with the purchase of the 77 acres, we have the land ability to do slow sand filtration. So it's a different, lower cost process. And so it brings that request down to 15 to 20 million. And we'll get hard numbers before we actually submit this. It just is dependent on what that's totally going to look like. So what we're asking for tonight is the approval of the submission, because we have to have council approval in order to get the federal funds, and approve the resolution and authorize the mayor and the city administrator to execute that letter of support so that we can get all of those presented with the grant instead of having to come back and add those later.
I'll make the motion to approve the submission of the FEMA Building Resilient Infrastructure Communities Grant application for the Aquifer Storage and Recovery Project. Also to authorize execution of the attached letter of support and approve the accompanying resolution designating the applicant agent.
We got our first and second. Any further discussion?
So do we have the $5 million to match that right now?
So the interesting thing about it is that that doesn't all have to come from us. So our state funds that we are getting as grants, those can be a match. So we will have to make up a portion of that, but I don't know if Sarah went through number-wise.
And some of the design dollars that we've already spent with other grants, we'll be able to put that towards our match. So there are a few different things that we can do, but this obviously takes a massive chunk out of that.
Sarah had them all listed on the agenda memo.
I shouldn't even
Under
ask
the
this.
budget.
I mean, doesn't purchasing the land count as matches this as
So we're
well?
think
So I mean,
that's-
I'm sure we're well past 5.
It's very likely,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and 20% of 15 to 20 million is only 3 to 4 million, not 5. So
You can only use acres you're gonna use, not the whole
I
property.
used to do big grants in the past, so.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And council members, we need your signature on the letter of support before you leave tonight. We have that already, I believe. Any unfinished business tonight?
I asked a few weeks ago about the building for the pet rescue, and I was kind of expecting a report based on what Robin had said at that meeting, that there would be a report sometime around this meeting, and I'm just wondering if that's going to be forthcoming.
No. So we sent the contracts to our attorney to get reviewed. So every year we have to go through and make sure that the contract language, because it changes at the state level, that we have to match all those things. So that's where it's at. We expected to hear back from her today and we didn't. So as soon as we hear back that we can say, yes, let's go out to bid on that, then we will send that out to bid.
Thank you.
It was brought up last time, e-bikes, and I noticed in the Planning Commission reports, they also brought up concern to e-bikes. I was going up Main Street at 30 miles an hour, and one of the little motorbikes on the sidewalk passed me. Just the background, the e-bike, there's an e-bike with pedals, it's pedal assist. There's an e-bike with pedals, it's pedal assist and has a throttle. And then there's what I call a mini bike, but it's electric motor, battery operated with no pedals. And school's out. I thought I heard on the news there were state laws regarding speed limits and size of motors and that. But it's going to be an issue. And there was, a couple weeks ago, a 17-year-old kid in Pasco killed himself on an e-bike. So I don't have an answer, but man, they are a new challenge for the society.
I did see that Washington State did come out with definitions of what an e-bike is and what an e-motorcycle is. So I think that'll be really helpful to use. I have seen a lot of e-motorcycle dirt bikes around town, which are very different from e-bikes. So I think getting clarification when we start doing that is going to be having that definition.
Interrupt you. I had something planned for next council meeting, something more formal to go over the actual laws, but we don't have an ordinance in place, and I'll break down the actual law. I think that the topic of debate or conversation would be what we'd want in our ordinance, whether it be an age limit. I've looked at tons of ordinances all across the state. Some cities have them completely banned from city limits. Some cities have them in designated areas, stuff like that. So I think the topics of conversation would be age limit, helmet law, prohibited locations or where they can and can't be. And I think that's basically it. I wanted to look at a few more ordinances at cities that are more like our size. I've been looking at big metropolitan cities like Spokane, Seattle. And so I do plan on having a presentation, a little more formal presentation next meeting.
So some of those are requiring a driver's license.
So the bikes that don't have pedals are, by state law, are considered mopeds or motorcycles. So those should have 16 years old, helmet, insurance, proof, registration, just like a motorcycle or that of a moped. The only issue is they look a lot like an e-bike, and it's very hard to see, in my opinion, when you're out patrolling if they have pedals or not, unless you come up and contact them. And so those fall under that law. The e-bikes actually have pedals themselves, and those are broken into 3 different classes, if that makes sense.
How about these guys, these kids they're on the dirt bikes, they're small dirt bikes, they're not e-bikes, but I've seen them down 14th. I mean, it's a little motorcycle. I mean, everybody's getting brave and just.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And those should be treated as a motorcycle.
I've seen them out in Hiawatha.
Yeah, more and more, if we don't pay attention to that, these kids are going on the street.
A lot of them have helmets on, but they're not 16.
Right.
Grant County Sheriff's Office put out something on social media last week, a whole big thing about it too, because that new law takes effect this
I
week.
knew it was coming. I read it on their council last week.
Any more unfinished business?
I've got one thing on, so we changed the streets back to 2-way, but when you're coming under the overpass, so I know, yes, the trucks can swing out and then turn, but should that lane be blocked until you get to Columbia Street? Maybe just put some like stripes in there so it's only one lane till you get to Columbia so the trucks can take a right. That is, I mean, yeah, it's a 90-degree corner, but you can't.
So it goes to 2 lanes before, and you're asking if it should say 1 lane until after that? Is that what? After Columbia?
Yeah,
Like
you come
the
under the overpass,
Broadway.
it goes down to a north and south lane.
Right.
But as soon as you come out, there's 4 lanes,
Right.
2 going each way. So if you took that right lane and just took that lane out to Columbia Street,
Made that a turn lane?
just make,
No, just make it so it's a single lane.
Non-travel.
just a
not
single
non-travel.
lane, but when you're turning, you're coming, it would be the left lane if that was still there.
Okay.
Because trucks got to come out wide. And I mean, since I work down there, I see a lot of people, the trucks come out like this and the cars try going on the side of them. And so, just a suggestion, I think it might be a little safer than,
We'll look at it and see.
Instead of a travel portion, a non-travel portion, until you get north of Columbia, and then it turns into 2 travel lanes.
Yeah, 2
So vehicles that need to make the eastbound turn
Yeah.
have room to make that turn safely.
Them 2 lanes going around.
Any more unfinished business? Then we'll go on to new business. Okay, with no new business, the council will also receive the Planning Commission minutes, the Building and Planning report for April and May, Police Department report, and Public Works and Engineering report. With that, the meeting is adjourned.